Meet Brendan. He's the head of a rather unusual research facility called the Thrill Laboratory.
Thrill's that fantastic, excited, kind of giddy feeling you get when you get a huge amount of enjoyment and pleasure, or sometimes fear, when you're exposed to new and unusual things. What one person might find really exciting, another person might find really scary. You will witness their mind become traumatised and their bodies going into shock. So, the higher the risks you take, the more likely you are to become a successful hunter, and also, perhaps, more attractive to a potential mate.
I like that. I'm in that category, I think.
It kind of sounds like a good way to be.
Yeah, I think so.
But the higher the risk you take, the more likely you are to get eaten. I've been collecting all your values for your fear, your excitement, and I've been able to come up with your very own thrill factor for the ride. So it's out of 10. The lower the score, the higher a thrill seeker you are. In fact, actually, anything under 5 puts you squarely in the category of an adrenaline junkie.
So what am I?
Well,
I'm not gonna like this answer. I suspect.
You scored a whopping 7.5. I think it's probably about time we tested your new thrill factor. And to make it a fair test, I'm going to put you back on the same ride as this morning.
Really?
Afraid so. If you look at your facial expressions here, you can see that there's not much going on there. It's a bit like you're watching paint dry.
Does that put me into the sort of caveman realms of adrenaline seeking?
Yeah, within a theme park setting. Yes.
Completely different to the woman beside me who didn't seem to scream or wasn't alarmed at all.
Oh, you want me to comment on that? Okay, well...
Is it the adrenaline that makes you feel good?
No, that's only part of the picture, because as your body's buzzing, you also get this release of endorphins in your body, which is actually the body's natural pain relief.
We're looking down! Oh! Oh, no shimmy! And a barrel roll around! Straight down! Right around! And a twist as well!
Yeah, still getting good spikes and pleasure, and you can see definitely on my face here I'm really having a good time. Looking at the centres and looking at those very particular muscle groups associated with those emotions, whether it's pleasure or fear, we can actually discern those difficult to read facial expressions. We can actually discern whether they are through pleasure or fear.
Sounds like we're on a dating show.
I run a design company called Ariel, where I come up with new ideas for future products, rides, all sorts of things. Well, I'm going to be looking for a number of ideas, originality, and also usefulness. Charlotte's TV aerial wire idea, I like the technology. And Ben, his coffee sieve was inspired. I have to say that I'm going to hand it to the call centre. It doesn't really surprise me, because the call centre is probably really used to sort of dealing with difficult tasks and thinking on their feet all the time, every sort of moment of the day, and probably the clevers may be more used to working in an academic environment where they're very focused on a single application. When you're on roller coasters, you're all going to be screaming at some point, and this could be for one of two reasons. I'm going to be looking for loudness, length of scream, and style. You've all done brilliantly, so as a reward, we've got you all a little treat. A milkshake. You are pretty great, in fact, a bit of a trooper. Helen? Scream. Pretty poor, I'm afraid. Poor length, poor volume. But also, you're pretty good at motion sickness, so a contender. And Joel? Enthusiasm impressed Nigel particularly. But motion sickness, I have to say, I'm pretty worried about your balance, so I'm not entirely sure how you're going to cope.
I'll be fine.
We've got 5 patients who are going to be wired up to a wheelchair which is going to be monitoring their body's responses to extreme and repeated horrors. Members of the public are invited down to the cinema to see these live experiments projected outside the auditorium real time, just that they'll get an idea of the horrors that are being experienced inside the auditorium as our patients are watching some of the UK's most scary horror films. You ready for your final film?
Yeah. Bring it. Go.
Top shelf, most horrific film we could find.
Okay, go on, I'm
Here
ready.
we go. Welcome to Fairground Thrill Laboratory, a heady mix of classic fairground rides with an international team of artists, scientists, technologists and showmen, creating a carnival of experimentation, food, drink, performance, film, music and discussion. So once you get strapped into the seat, you've got absolutely no idea what's going to be happening ahead of you in the ride. So what's happening in the warehouse there, you don't know, and that's the whole point of a horror ride. You don't know what you're going to be subjected to.
That's all right. Good.
Right then, Andy, I hope you enjoyed your starter, because now it's time for your main course.
Bring it on, what are we doing?
I've chosen 3 of the most extreme rides in Britain, and I'm going to be doing scientific tests to find out which ride, for you, is the most thrilling.
Sounds good.
I can't tell you now. You've got to wait until you're back in the studio.
Oh man, you can't do that to me. You've already... Come on, give it us.
No,
seriously. I say do it.